One day in my meditation, I reached out to Spirit and God and angels, and I said I needed something, and I was willing to dedicate my skills toward God. And God responded and said, great, I want you to write this book for me. And I said, okay, what's the book? And it turned out to be a children's book about angels.
Open up, Colorado. It's 4:20. Time to grind and burn.
This is not your son's stoner show.
Hey, Cannapreneurs. Welcome. This week, it is your son's stoner show. So here's what we're doing this week. We're going to do an edible test where we're going to consume 150 milligrams of keef into a nice gummy little treat. And what are we going to do? Are we going to sit around and just stare at each other? No! I sat down with a complete stranger that I pulled off the street to come take some THC in high doses with me and then ask strange questions back and forth to each other. I found Aaron Stevens, a children's book author that I found randomly on Facebook, to come to my home and indulge in high doses of THC. Did I say that already? See, we're already having fun. This is your final warning. This episode contains explicit language and heavy talk about drug use, and even the hint of active drug use. Listen at your own risk. So here's what you're doing. You remember last week when we talked to Mouse's Edibles? Well, they were gracious enough to send me out a couple of their treats. I sat down and I took them. I recorded the whole thing, and I want to bring it to you. A real live edible review from two strangers from two completely opposite sides of life in all respects, coming together to form a beautiful friendship. That's what we're doing this week. So hang on, because there's still something to learn. You heard them last week. You remember who they are. Just in case you forgot, before we get into the review, let's make sure we remember Mouse's Edibles. Take a couple minutes, listen to them, and then sit back and take your own edible this week and listen to our conversation as we learn about each other and review one of the most kick-ass, badass, bestest of the best edibles I've ever had. Here we go. What kind of name is Clamper? That is a unique name.
I'm in a men's club it's called Clampercitis. It's an honorable drinking society.
The reason kind of the edible started, because I have Crohn's disease. I've been diagnosed for quite a long time, but the past 2 years has been pretty much hell. I've gone through, in the past 2 years, probably 8 surgeries, but in the past year, this past year has been 6 surgeries. I don't like taking all this medication, and it's medication like chemotherapy, but it's chemotherapy that, I will never, it's not something that you will come off. It's not like it's a cure. Like a cancer where chemotherapy will cure you. There's no cure for what I have right now, so this is why we want to use cannabis and, whether it be THC, CBDs, whatever, anything natural, and we use other things as well naturally. This is how we found the gummy recipe, basically, was looking for something to get into my system, but something healthy. A lot of the edibles that we found or talked about have a lot of sugars in them, which is really, for me specifically, not a healthy situation. So we looked up different ways of making edibles, and so basically with our edible company, we kind of do both. People who want kind of more the natural, no sugar kind of deal, and then we also do just the regular kind of edibles for people who want the actual real sugar and everything. It's pretty much we try and get all, if we can, local stuff. Right now, we're more behind the curtain as far as what we're selling, but we are totally legal as far as being able to grow and do that kind of stuff. It's hard in California. I know you guys in Colorado are dealing with it right now, but, it's really hard as far as a business. I have a personal business other than this, so I know how to run a business, but this is very hard. So right now, all of that is behind the curtain, but I really would like to figure out a different way of doing this. And I have a couple of different compounding medical things going on. But so for me, I believe it affects me. It's more of a healing the internal organs while I eat it. You have to wait at least a half hour. I smoke it for instant relief, but I eat it kind of for an all-day type of relief. We want to be able to help as many people as possible, and I think that is kind of the direction that our lives are going in right now. This is going to be our main.
You know what I want to do is I want to check back in with you in about 90 days because I think this is exciting because it's kind of like witnessing the beginning of a real growth of something. So I think with all that's happening and happening so fast, if I can just check back in within 90 days, we're going to see drastic changes from this conversation to the conversation in 3 months from now.
I agree. So I appreciate your time.
Hey, thank you very much for being part of it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
This show is streamed live from CCP Studios, but we can also do it via Skype, phone, and possibly some other technology ways. Let's just get you on the show. So if you have an idea, you have a business, maybe a product you've been thinking about, contact me. Brainstorm at cannabiscommunityproject.com.
Wow.
Lucifer, son of the morning, I'm gonna chase you out of earth.
I don't pay taxes, don't need to, because everything is given to giveaway.
You asked this prick big ass missing his kid.
I'm just like, what? Like, man.
I love cannabis.
Oh my God, I'm peeking!
Gary, have you ever been hypnotized before?
Whoa, do you smell that skunk? Yeah. Kind of reminds me of smelling weed. Hey, man, I don't know anybody here, man. Me neither. You see anybody you know?
Hey, Reason! Hey, bro, what's up, man? Hey, how you doing,
Hey,
dude?
what's up, man?
Hey, you want a beer?
Yeah.
Yeah? Hey,
please,
someone
man.
get Reason a beer!
Chase the devil out of earth. I'm gonna send him to outer space to find another race. I'm gonna send him to outer space to find another race. I'm gonna put on the iron shirt and chase Satan out of earth. I'm gonna put on the iron shirt and chase the devil out of earth. I'm gonna send him to outer space to find another race. I'm gonna send him to outer space to find another race.
So what I figured we'd do is we just took the gummy edible. Mouse's Edible is actually the official name of
Mouse is edible.
of the
Okay.
company. So we just took the edible. We got a video of it, and that will be up online and on the website so people can see we actually took this edible. My plan was this. We don't want to just sit here and stare at each other waiting to,
Right.
see what happens. Because sometimes there's a whole psychological thing, I think, that happens with people taking any form of cannabis, where if you think about it too much, either you have the opposite effect where you feel like you don't feel anything, or you're going to psych yourself out and kind of exaggerate it. So I want to distract us for probably a good 20 minutes for you if you have fast metabolism, and probably a little bit longer for me with a slower metabolism. But I want to distract us. So my plan was I found a good article on the internet that said 36 questions to ask any stranger, and after those 36 questions of answering and asking each other, they become friends. I'm going to see if it works.
All right.
I'm going to go through these 36 questions. You and I will both ask and answer each other, and at the end of it, we'll see if we're friends. On that one. And then we'll get a good chance to then kind of dive into how we're feeling with this edible.
Okay.
Let's first establish: have you consumed any cannabis today already?
I did early this morning. It was about 6 o'clock this morning, though. So
6 o'clock?
Yeah, I usually get up around 4 to 5 every day.
Why are you getting up around 4 to 5 every day?
I just wake up every day at that time.
You're a morning person?
Yeah, I'm a morning person. I do a lot of meditation, and since I'm a writer, I do all my writing in the morning.
Interesting. Well, I'm going to learn all about that. I want to ask you questions all about what you do and vice versa and everything else. So then you sleep probably by 8, 9 at night? Or?
Yeah, about 9 o'clock at night, I'm tuckered out.
So I'm the opposite. Last night I went to bed right around 3, maybe 3:30 in the morning.
Wow.
And woke up right around noonish today. That's my natural cycle of things. So this is good because looks like we're almost opposites in that respect. But I can already see we might have some things in common from just a couple things you've already said. So this should be an interesting experiment in social science, right? It's two strangers. Have we ever met before?
No.
Matter of fact, not only have we never met before, but we were referred by a person that neither you or I have ever met in person, correct?
That is correct.
We are referred by our friend Colleen at Cushley, one of our great sponsors on the show, Cushley. I've never met her in person because she's out on the East Coast. You've never met her in person.
Not yet. Plan to one day.
One day, as will I. Maybe soon, this coming maybe April or so for Cannabis Cup. Depends on if she's able to come down. We've never met her. She somehow was the middle person between us getting hooked up. I put out a Facebook message saying I was looking for somebody to do an edible test. You answered to that. I invited you into my home, unbeknownst to who you are. So if you have a hatchet or an axe in your bag, please divulge it now.
No hatchet or axes.
But this is truly a stranger review. So we're going to attempt to do two things. We're going to attempt to give an honest, straightforward review. Are you a connoisseur of cannabis? What is your background?
I actually have a medical marijuana card.
Okay.
And I've had that for several years. So I have actually osteoarthritis in my neck.
Okay.
It's very painful, and I take it early in the morning to relieve that pain and let me live my day like regular people.
What form do you normally consume in? Smoking, concentrates, edibles?
Mostly smoking.
Mostly smoking, flower.
Right.
Okay. So about the same for me. I would say 80% smoking flower, and then maybe 10 to 15% concentrates, and about 5% edibles along those lines. Today, I have not consumed anything. But as I just revealed, I just woke up a couple hours ago. So if I would have been up some 6 o'clock, I'm sure I would have already consumed today. But I don't think they'll affect this test at all. Smoking and edibles are two different digestive type things in the body. Did you say you wanted to say your name, or you didn't want to say your name?
I can say my name.
Okay. I guess you already said it on the video.
Right. Aaron Stevens. I am a children's author and a web designer.
What is this title that you have running under your name that says you're Amazon's leading seller?
I like to call myself an internationally best-selling author.
Okay. So that's a self-title. Okay.
And that was because I have fans and readers all around the world. And when my book released, it was launched at number 3 for my category.
And when did you release this book?
It was November 18th last year.
Now, why a children's book?
The reason that happened was because I'm a good writer. And one day in my meditation, I reached out to Spirit and God and angels, and I needed something, and I was willing to dedicate my skills toward God. And God responded and said, "Great, I want you to write this book for me." And I said, "Okay, what's the book?" And it turned out to be a children's book about angels.
Interesting. And this was in the middle of meditation?
In the middle of meditation.
Was it meditative state that was a little cannabis induced, or was it pure meditation?
Probably say yes, there was a little bit of that since it was very early in the morning. I would say that partially might have been influenced by the cannabis industry, but there are times that angels come and talk to me where I'm not influenced by that, and so I know that it's a consistent daily thing.
Now, by no means want to sound like I'm ever mocking you or anything. Sometimes that's just my natural state of personality. But when you say angels and gods, are you talking from like a Christian standpoint of our understanding?
It is from a sort of a Christianity standpoint with God and Jesus and angels. But angels actually were in existence long before Christianity and different religions. So it's something that's been accepted quite well by all different backgrounds for that reason. The basic belief is that the God is a God of love, and we respect all religions. So it's not so much you're going to go to hell or you're going to go to heaven, but God is spirit and is working through all of us.
So where were you born?
I was born in Vietnam.
Oh, okay. And I take it then you moved here as a baby?
Correct.
Because your English sounds pretty native. So
Yes.
that usually only happens when people come here as babies.
Right.
How old were you?
I was 4 months of age.
Oh, wow.
Well, I was born during the middle of the Vietnam War,
Okay.
and my parents were killed
Man.
I was,
Say that.
yeah, it's too bad, but life happens, and so I was an orphan, and I actually have a twin brother, and so he and I both were put into an orphanage, and then we were adopted by an army family.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a fascinating story.
It's kind of cool because, all my life I think that my dead biological parents have been watching over me and helping me. So it's kind of reassuring to know that they and my guardian angels are always looking out.
Wow. That's a powerful story. Which part of Vietnam?
I was actually South Vietnam, and the small village that I lived in was called Vinh Long.
You were obviously too young to know them.
Correct.
When everything happened, and probably too young to really remember that migration.
Right, yeah, I don't remember any of that part.
Yeah, that's kind of what people have told you, right?
Right.
You're reconstructing a story from other people's telling of things.
Right. The nuns had a story, and they told my adopted parents, who told me.
Wow. Do you have any type of anger, resentment based around that?
No, not really. For the longest time as a kid, I didn't even know I was adopted.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, because the family that adopted you were similar in ethnicity? Or
Oh, no. They were Caucasian. My mom had blonde hair.
You just didn't see it because you were a baby when you were born, so it didn't...
Right, it's all I knew.
Those dividing lines weren't in place yet.
It wasn't until, I think, maybe 6th grade, 7th grade that I realized that, hey, my parents don't look like me.
Do you speak Vietnamese also?
No, I don't. I can do a very good broke English, though.
That's funny. And I was going to say I would ask you to do that, but that might be racist, so we'll just skip over that one.
Well, who knows? Maybe when the gummies start kicking in, you'll get to hear some of my
breaking down
accents.
into broken English. What is your place in life here? I mean, have you gone through school? Are you a writer now? Is your main gig? Are you in a transition? Where's your place in life now? What do you want to give your age? Or?
Sure, I'm 41 years of age.
Okay.
And I have an MBA in human resources and a bachelor's degree in marketing.
Oh, interesting.
And so I've had a lot of different jobs. I've been in marketing, product management. I've been writing all throughout my career. So right now I consider myself a writer. And so that's where I spend most of my time.
Writing is something that has naturally come to you, kind of a talent.
Right.
Yeah. Again, almost the opposite for me. I'm a horrible writer. Have never been good at writing. I struggle to write, and it's just one of those things that I guess I wish I were better at, but it's cloudy for me. The whole construct of writing is difficult for me to understand. So that's good. We're coming from two separate sides of the world, literally.
Right.
Literally, I was born in Madison, Wisconsin, and down here in Colorado now. So let me ask you this one. I want to wait just a few minutes for some of these questions when I feel you're a little bit more relaxed, because some of them are a little bit weirder than others. So,
when my eyes get all glazed over.
when it's kicked in. We need like an app for like that scans your eye to let you know like what point you've hit.
Right.
A little phone app. So you got a calling. Right?
I did.
To write a book. A children's book is what was determined you needed to write about. Was there a theme or a topic, something that had to be out there, or was it just simply a children's book?
It's kind of interesting because I didn't really know that it was going to be a children's book. One day I started writing. And the funny thing is the book really wrote itself in 25 days, which is just amazing. I have other books I'm working on. I'm not even anywhere close to where that one was.
Other children's books?
No, the other books that are business related.
Oh, okay.
So it came to me. I started writing, and I had no idea it was going to be for children or if it was going to be for adults. And I actually, when it came together, I put together a beta group of about 75 different people, and I had them all read it of different ages and said, what do you like? What don't you like? Is this something you would want to read? And it turned out the majority of the people that were interested were between the ages of 12 and 24. And so that's where I kind of determined that's where my target market was.
So it's more of a adolescent book.
Yeah, it could be. It could be going after the Harry Potter
adolescent book on that one. Did you happen to bring it by chance?
I did.
Can I check it out?
Sure, let me grab it.
Yeah, okay. Oh wow, it's like a real published book and all.
Yeah, so and actually that is for you.
Oh.
So
okay.
I brought that for you, so in case.
What's the reading level on it?
I like to say it's actually from probably 10 years of age all the way up to 24.
Okay. Is it appropriate for a 7-year-old if I read it to her?
Absolutely.
Okay. My daughter's 7.
And because of the success of Frozen, I actually hired an ex-Disney artist and said, I really would like to, capture that market, because kids of all ages love Elsa.
How did you get a hold of an ex-Disney artist? Was it a Craigslist posting?
No. I actually used a website, and it's called 99designs.com.
Yes, I know it well, yes.
And I put up a contest, and I said, hey, I'm looking for a cover. Here's the book. Here's the synopsis. This is what I'm trying to go for. And then I literally had hundreds of people submit covers. Wow. And so this is the one that ended up winning, and I put the dragon on because my beta group said, can you put a dragon in the book? And I was like, it's a book about angels. How do I do dragons? But what I found was the How to Train Your Dragon movie was very successful, and that's what the kids were going after. So I said, sure, we'll write a dragon into the book. And so as soon as I did that, the popularity with boys increased even more so than it did with girls.
Absolutely. And I like the fact that you're open enough religiously to not be defined by a religion to say, what does a dragon have to do with Christianity? And kind of throw the idea out. I like that you're like, yeah, sure, we can incorporate that in, because the core of what we're going after is more of a philosophy of life rather than a dogma of action, religious action. And I think dragons make things cooler. This is interesting. I'll read this to my daughter.
Awesome. I love it. And check out the spine. If you look on the right-hand side, you have a dragon eye sticking out at you.
Oh, nice. But what was the cost of that?
$299.
And it's better than that.
Yeah, it's professionally done.
I don't think you will find somebody to do a basic logo for you for less than $300 to $500. So for them to do an actual book cover,
right,
for $300, that's a pretty awesome deal.
And the copyright, which is the most important, because originally I looked at a painting I wanted to use, and the artist would not sign over the copyright. She'd sell me the painting, but not the rights to use it over and over again. So as part of my marketing, I've branded these two little angels. We have Braden and Morgan on the front, and now I own the rights to them.
Mm-hmm. And they are kind of Disney-ish. You can kind of see the style of animation. They do resemble kind of that Disney look a little bit. It's cool looking, though, and it's cool. It's 207, it's
almost 300 pages.
Almost 300 pages. It's a real book. Not font 22, but it looks like a 12,
right.
A 12 font here. So this is a real book, chapter book and all, with a bookmark on it. Very cool, man. I'm going to read this to her. What was the actual process of writing this book? Was it you just listing out the chapters and then sending it to a publisher to organize it and put it together?
Actually, I had 3 editors that worked with me putting this together. And so...
At different times or together?
Sometimes together, sometimes separate.
Okay.
But
and where did you find them?
Through people that I knew through contacts and word of mouth.
Professional editors, people that have experience in editing books.
Yes, I had to pay.
How much?
Usually you pay per page. Sometimes you pay per word.
Wow.
I think I got a really good deal. For an editor, you can easily pay up to $5,000 for the whole deal. Being a webmaster, I'm able to trade some services. Hey, I'll do this for you, you do that for me kind of thing.
Wow. When they edit, I'm always curious about this because as I just told you, I feel like I'm a horrible writer. I have no understanding of how to write. And one of the reasons is because I lack so much understanding of form, structure, grammar in writing, where my confidence is just It's just not there. So I always feel like, oh, what if I just put ideas on a paper and then gave it to somebody to actually organize those ideas in a coherent way, and that was organized and structured and grammatically correct and the whole idea. Is that what an editor's doing, or is an editor looking for clarity and fluency? And what exactly is an editor doing?
What you're talking about is more of a ghostwriter, where you would say, here's my idea for the book, can you help me put it together? The ghostwriter would then put together a manuscript. From there, you would take it to your editor. One's going to check for grammar and punctuation and typos. You're going to have another one who's going to check for content. Did you develop all of your characters correctly? Did you, as I say, did you orphan a character?
Right. The process of writing is not a sit down at 9 and you're done by 5. It takes months and months. So you could easily lose track of a storyline because you started it 3 months ago and now you're working on a different area of the book and you kind of forgot, oh yeah, I introduced so-and-so 3 months ago.
Correct.
Finish that up. So an editor kind of keeps the flow of things together, keeps ideas moving, keeps things fulfilled in that sense.
Yeah, they do a lot of those things, and they make sure that it sounds good when it reads. So there's a lot of ways that you can write a sentence. Are you doing it the right way? Also, all different story types of telling techniques. Like Stephanie Meyer, for instance, who wrote the Twilight series, decided to do something different, and she changed the perspective of the character. So one minute she's talking from Bella, who's the hero of the story, and then several chapters later, she's the wolf guy. But she doesn't tell you that. So you're like, that's weird.
I don't remember that in the movie.
It's not in the movie, it's in the book. But if you read the book, you knew in the movie that things were going on that they didn't describe. Different authors will sometimes have different styles.
Interesting. So the movie is almost like the inside, or the book is the insider's guide.
Right.
And the movie is kind of just a peripheral, like, here's kind of the basic, a couple pages from the actual story going on. So I guess that's why people get angry when they read books and then watch movies, right?
Right. Well, and what a lot of authors do is they sign away their rights. So if let's say Disney comes to me and say, we want to buy the rights to your book. So I say, okay, I'll sell them to you for $100,000. Now, I just sold my entire rights to the book. I have nothing else I can get other than what I negotiate. They could decide to change the characters. They could change the names.
Their story now.
It's their story.
Yeah, so they can do what they want with it and profit as much as they want with that story. It's officially called Angel Academy, right?
Yes.
By Aaron M. Stevens. Where can people find it?
If you're local here in Denver, you can go to Second Star to the right in the Highlands area, about 42nd and Tennyson. It's a children's bookstore. Or if you want to go online, you can go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Tattered Cover. Any of those stores can also order that to you and get that to you for in a couple days.
Which channel is by far the most, the best channel that gives you the most type of sales and exposure? Amazon?
No, actually, it's really funny. Amazon takes a large cut of my profits. When people buy books directly from me and they go to my website, and then I make the most money.
Okay. Is that where people are finding you the most?
No, actually, they're finding me on their ebooks. I sell more ebooks than I do print books.
But that's through Amazon, though, right?
No, it's through Barnes & Noble Nook. Oh. There's also something called the Kobo, which is really popular in Eastern Europe.
Okay.
And then, of course, there's the Kindle, which is pretty popular. And then there's also iTunes. So if you have an iPad or an iPhone, you can also go online and get it there. And then I also am available through Google Store. As my brother says, everybody has Google, and they know what Google is. So you can just pull it up there as well.
Well, definitely, if you're confused to where you get it, if they just Google Angel Academy book, I guess that
or you could
come
just
up, right?
Yeah, or just go to Amazon. Angel Academy by Aaron Stevens, and you'll find me.
Very cool. What was the overall time from inspiration to hard copy in hand?
It took about 8 months.
Yeah.
It took about 8 months before I had a real product. It's one thing to say, hey, I wrote a book. It's another thing to pull out the book and say, I wrote this.
Yeah, to actually have something you can put in front of somebody and say,
exactly.
Here you go. Here's a book. Not here's a file that has a book in the works, but here's an actual printed book.
Right.
8 months doesn't seem like a long time, though. I mean, 8 months.
It's actually not. That's not very normal to write a book and get it out there that quickly.
Yeah.
I think I just had a lot of help from some angels helped me.
Yeah. Yeah, quite possibly. Literally and metaphorically. I mean, I would think people probably would write books within a year to 2 time frames, and then depending on what type of book it is, if it's more of a research academic, might even be longer versus novel type stories. 8 months seems pretty good. What was the front to back cost from here's my inspiration, now I'm going to work, from when the pennies started flowing to when no longer pennies were needed? What was the end of the line, bottom line? Ching.
I'm still paying out for marketing and advertising for things.
Okay, but let's exclude the ongoing attempt to sell the book. Let's take that out of the equation.
Okay.
Let's just say from the time of hiring the editors, hiring the illustrators. Don't put your time on it. Obviously, your time has a value, but don't put that on it yet. The cost of printing the paper itself, of whatever that cost, the hard cost or the fixed cost in there that are not things that are going to be ongoing, like sales efforts.
Okay.
And not things that are kind of self-directed, like, well, I spent 142 hours sitting in front of the computer. Not that kind of cost. If somebody from the outside looking in wanted to get an idea, what does it actually take to self-publish, which is what you did, right?
Correct.
You self-published. What are we looking at?
I would say realistically, you're looking at about $5,000 to $7,000.
Not bad at all.
It's really not. I mean, you think about that, you could put that on a credit card if you know exactly what you're paying for. Some of those costs, obviously, the cost of printing the book, shipping the book, things like that. But once you have it, then it's yours forever.
Yeah. How many prints did you get out of that?
With the first round, I only printed 2,500 books.
Okay. Is this still on the first round?
This is still the first round.
Okay.
Still have some left.
Okay. So we're going through those 5, maybe a few more $1,000. How many hours did you put in those 8 months? Are we talking about 8 months of Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, weekends for a few hours?
I would say realistically, it was about 2 to 3 hours a day.
Okay.
Is all I had to put into it. Every day.
Every day.
So, I mean, just 30 minutes here doing something.
Right.
Go do something else.
What
come
about
back.
20 hours a week or so?
Yeah, about 20 hours a week.
So a solid part-time job.
It could be a part-time or even a full-time job, because I also send out press releases as well, which I think is really important.
Like on a weekly basis? Or
every few days, I would send out a press release to a local newspaper or radio station.
That you were in the works of making the book, or once the book had been completed?
When the book is completed, it's ready to go, but it hasn't officially launched yet.
Okay. And how did you launch it? Did you have a party, an event?
I did. I had the book launch party at Second Star to the Right Children's Bookstore.
Okay.
And did a little reading, some signings. And
now, this is your first book, right?
Yes.
So you're not known as an author.
No.
So your network probably isn't full of other authors and people who are looking to consume written material by you, right?
They are. And as of right now, I have about over 200,000 fans.
Before the book?
Before the book.
Before the book. From what type of work?
Well, I got on Facebook and I created a public figure page.
Okay.
And then I also created a page for my book.
Okay.
And then every day I posted something.
But were you known for writing before you did this book? Is that how you were recognized, as a writer, somebody who was producing written content?
Yeah, I've been writing blogs for years.
Okay.
In all fairness, I probably had a few thousand people that were already reading my free blogs.
Right.
And then when the book came out, I was like, oh, cool, he's writing even more stuff.
So you had a good base.
Yeah, I had a good, strong base of followers who liked my casual writing.
How long did it take to get that base of a few thousand people following you? Years? Months? Years. It takes a while, right?
Yeah, it takes a long time.
A lot of times people are really disillusioned when they get the idea of, like, oh, I'll create an account and do something, and within a few months, millions of people will be following me. I'm experiencing that myself. I've been doing my show for just over a year now, just a year and some months. And I can see the progression, but the progression, it takes a while. It takes a while to not just get a reader, which I equate to a listener,
right?
But to have somebody come back next week and listen again, right?
Right.
And that takes a long time, building that base. Sometimes you can slightly manipulate things where you get a spike like this. Oh, this week, spike. I never look at that as any type of accomplishment. The only accomplishments I look at is from last year to this year, over the last 12 months, where has that line gone? Because there has been weeks when this has happened. But that, to me, that's like, well, it's because, this person was on the show and they had a really large network and that's why it spiked. It wasn't because all of a sudden people found out about my show and it spiked. So I look at it the same way, as it takes a long time to get a base of anything, readers, watchers, listeners, fans and followers,
right,
to come back week after week and stick with you. Not just once, not just, hey, this weekend, at Red Rocks, come watch, but this weekend at Red Rocks, next year at Red Rock, are you coming year after year? Are you buying the albums in between? Are you following on the YouTube and the Facebook and everything else? So it's exhausting, isn't it?
Sometimes it is, but you kind of get used to it. And once you start a group of fans, everywhere I go, I carry those bookmarks with me.
Yeah.
And people ask me all the time, hey, do you have a business card? And I said, no, I really don't. I mean, you're not going to call me, but you might read my book, so here you go.
Yeah, this is a great business card because it really hits who you want to be, who you are, right, as a writer. I mean, it makes sense. You got a business card? Yes, it's a bookmark. I wonder if you have something to do with books, right?
Right.
It makes sense.
And how many business cards do you have? Probably in boxes that you never look at again.
Right. That's why I'm going to start carrying microphones with me, disposable microphones. When I meet people, I'll just give them microphones with my name on it. This is a great idea. Did you illustrate this or did you pay for this?
Actually, that was all part of the cost of the design of the cover.
Package deal, $300 for front, back, and bookmark. I don't think you can get much better than that.
And they're great advertising because every time somebody opens up a book, they're looking at my advertising.
Yeah.
And not even that book, because I passed these bookmarks out months and months before the book came out.
Right.
I went around to the Boulder Pearl Street Mall with a big bag that said free bookmark, local author. And I would just hand them out, and people were like, hey, what's that guy handing out? Bookmarked left and right.
Yeah. So what is the overall marketing strategy here? Is it just a lot of meet and greets and a lot of...
There are a lot of meet and greets. Part of it is branding yourself, letting people know that, hey, I'm a local author.
Through what channels are you doing this? Through social media channels?
Social media. I'm very active at my church.
Okay.
I go to a lot of networking events. Even when I go out, the...
Writer type networking events or what type of networking events?
You can go to the St. Patrick's Day Parade. Pass out bookmarks.
Just wherever you meet people.
Just wherever I meet
and
people.
And have a chance to say, I am, right? And finish that sentence. Yeah.
I walk into a Barnes & Noble and I look around and say, hey, local author in the house. And I look around to see if anybody looks, and sometimes people do, and they come walking over. And I go, here you go, here's a bookmark.
Can you record yourself doing that next time? Video yourself walking in and hey, local author in the house.
Well, there's the one up in Thornton, they're starting to know me, so I don't get quite the response anymore.
It would be a fun, not prank, but a fun little put-together, plant 8-10 people in a bookstore, have you come in and announce that and have people... running and group around you in the sense. It would be a fun little thing to record something like that. This is really cool, man. I commend you on this because writing nowadays, getting somebody to write a paper for school is almost impossible, but to write a full book and then get it printed, which is a huge step beyond just writing a book and posting it digitally online, but to get it printed is so much cooler. It's so much cooler to actually have a tangible something you can put in your hand. Because I read some books online, but obviously the books I cherish are the ones in my bookshelf here at home. The ones I pay money for and I bring home and I put it on a bookshelf and I'll carry around with me for the rest of my life. The books I have on my computer, I can't really remember what books I have on there. Can't remember the last time I really read one or sat down. The style of reading books, they just don't stick with you and they don't have the same impact. This is an accomplishment, if nothing else. If you die tomorrow, you'll at least be more successful than probably most people in the world.
Well, thank you very much.
That's cool. I'm going to read that to my daughter.
I think she'll like that.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. What's next?
Well, right now I'm working on a book called The HR Job Guide. I used to be a college professor. And
teaching what?
Human resources.
Okay.
And so that's what my MBA is in. So I help college graduates right before they're going to graduate.
Yeah.
And I would say, these are the things you need to know.
Like getting resumes ready.
This is how you're going to dress, this is how you're going to talk, everything even down to the interview. And so I did that for about 10 years, and I really liked it, and I helped thousands of people find good jobs, and it's been a hard market for the last 10 years.
Not easy.
And so just recently, my grandma passed away, and so I met with my whole family, and I have a pretty big extended family. So they were all there, and I said, I should write a book to help them out. It even comes down to how do you negotiate your salary? A lot of people don't even know that you can ask for more. Hey, we'll offer you $24,000. My favorite line is that the best you can do? Yeah. Chances are they can do better, but people don't know that. So just, little things like that. I want to write
Especially if it's only $24,000.
Right. Right, exactly. So, I just want to be able to help people better their lives. And I think that's a really good way to do it. So my goal is to have that book out by the end of the year.
Nice. I should have you connect with our friend of the show, Scott Afable, who's an HR consultant, who's part of our community, part of our show here. And he's specifically working with cannabis industries here in Colorado, specifically on HR issues with employees, employment, compensation, retention, the whole deal. I should introduce you to him.
Sure.
So you have another
Absolutely.
connection of similar-minded people. HR is one of those things that's definitely necessary. I mean, before I pursued this type of path in my life, I was very much into that side of the world. I worked for corporations, and I worked in banks, and I worked in, I guess, a more traditional, classical sense of wearing shirt and ties and going and doing interviews and sitting through meetings and, very structured corporate environments. Been there, don't like it personally, not anymore. Now that I've discovered this side of pursuing life, kind of where you're headed also, and the kind of the self-employment, the self-directed path, I don't ever want to go back to that part of life.
Right.
That seems like hell to me now.
I agree with you 100% there.
Regardless of that, the work of understanding what you're talking about, negotiation, appearance, and I guess etiquette.
Oh, yeah.
In a certain sense, it doesn't matter whether you're self-employed or not. Those type of things are very essential in the HR sense of if you're making money from something you do, it's a business. Therefore, there should be some type of structure in place regarding anything you do in that business. So, I mean, what you're doing could definitely be applied to both sides, the entrepreneurial side and the more traditional corporate side of things.
Absolutely.
So are you 100% self-employed, or do you have another gig somewhere?
No, actually, I have another gig. I'm the director of web design for a marketing firm.
Okay.
And I do websites primarily in the restaurant industry.
Ah.
So just so you know, this is kind of a secret, but there's a new lobster restaurant.
Should I beep it out?
No, you can put it on there because I won't tell you what it is, but there's going to be a new lobster restaurant coming to the Denver metro area.
Ooh, blue lobster? Yellow lobster?
I don't know what kind it is, but I've been working on their website, and they're going to have a restaurant.
Obviously to compete with Red Lobster. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And then they're going to do wholesaling, and they're also going to have a catering truck.
Ooh.
And so, I mean, Red Lobster, if you wanted a lobster, I guess that's one of the places that you could go. But, I mean, Denver's big enough that it could definitely support another restaurant to go to. So,
did you go to school for web design?
I'm all self-taught back in the 90s.
Like, you know how to code, or you know how to just design sites using management systems?
I actually did HTML hard coding.
Okay.
All the little brackets and slashes, and hated it. Horrible. But you really have to know it, so that way when you're looking at the code later, you know that you're missing a bracket or a slash, because that can mess up your whole website.
So let's say somebody's wanting to be an author like you, like self-published, they're going to max out their credit card, and as part of their overall matrix of things here, they want to build a website. There's a lot of WordPresses, all the other similar management system sites that are cheap, if not free, fairly easy to use. What is the real advantage, unless you're a big corporation with money? Do you think a single entrepreneur or anybody needs to actually go out and find somebody who's going to code a site, or should they just jump on a WordPress?
It's really funny you should say that, because all of my sites now are WordPress. So I've converted them over. I didn't want to, but the whole world was switching over to WordPress, and I was feeling left out.
Like you wanted to know what all these people are.
Yeah, I'm like, what is this? And, it's not real easy, but, I dived into it and taught myself and read tons of books. Right. And it's a fine line. You have your eye of design, and then you have your programming part of it. Right. And you have to kind of meld those together.
Yeah. And that's really the way I look at it, is I would rather somebody have a good eye for design than I can find somebody who has the technical skill of making it happen. Or to, vice versa. You have your technical guy, but neither one of you have a real artistic sense or eye for design. And then you're kind of stuck, because then what are you going to do? Well, you're going to use all that technical skill to start experimenting. Well, experimentation is probably not the best thing to do when you're dealing with somebody's business or, somebody's future. Even though technically you have the skills to make it happen. Well, hey, I can do this. Let's make this happen, and let's make this happen. And then you start seeing websites with all sorts of crazy things going on and everything else. Website is important because I do podcast production, and I work with other people that do podcasts, and having a website, just like having a social media account, they're essential parts of what you do, because you have to have an audience, and an audience that follows you, and an audience that connects with you, and an audience that can communicate with you.
Right.
And if you don't have a website and social media, how are they going to communicate with you? Call you on the phone? Probably not. Write you mail letters and send you postcards? Probably not. People don't really want to send text messages unless they personally know you or unless it's an urgent matter. People want to passively communicate. They want to passively be connected, but not necessarily confronted with the communication, right? If I send you a text message, you're kind of obligated to either respond or not. If I just simply comment on a post on your social media site, there's no real obligation of interaction there. So I feel safe as the fan that, hey, I can interact with this guy and I don't have to worry about rejection because it's not supposed to. It's not like if I send you a letter in the mail and you don't write me back, well, hey, F you, man, right?
Right.
Social media allows for the passive communication to exist, and that's where I believe that base that we were talking about earlier, fans, comes from, is people who are just passively always there, but not necessarily directly interacting with you. They're just there all the time. You know, they see the stuff you're posting. Every now and then they like it. You post something, and every now and then they like you. And you're just kind of passively there, and you get to know each other through a casual relationship rather than something more direct, like coming to somebody's house and turning on a microphone and sitting in front of them, right? You can't do that with every single person in your community. So you got to have a way to passively communicate. Websites and social media. You got one of the skills already for one of the better parts of marketing.
Well, thanks.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. How about yourself?
Yeah. Your eyes, let me see. What did you say look for? Look for cloudiness?
Did they look glazed over?
Well, they look glazed kind of when you showed up.
Oh.
So I wasn't sure. Well, let's see. Let's take a moment to check in on our edibles.
All right.
So let's self-reflect for a second. Let me see here. I think I definitely feel something is in my body. I don't feel a peaking sensation like a blunt amount of THC has hit my system. I can definitely feel the feeling of highness because I wasn't high before you came in, and I can feel now that I am slightly.
Oh yeah, I definitely think that it's not a sleepy feeling. It's not an anxious feeling. It's not a jittery feeling, but it's definitely some sort of a different feeling.
For me, it hasn't hit any type of peak yet where I feel like I'm high. You know, I don't feel
Or you want to jump off the roof?
If only I wasn't on the first floor.
Oh, that's right.
Wait, we should time it though. What time is it? When did we start?
It was about 2:30, I think, and it's about 3:30 now, so an hour later.
All right, so that's
so for our viewers.
For you, that's enough time for your metabolism.
Yeah, for me, it's like because I was actually really afraid that I was like, man, I hope that this doesn't make me fall asleep or doesn't do anything.
Well, I think that happens. I mean, I'm not by no means am I a grower or a product manufacturer, but I've interviewed enough people about it where I have some theories. And here's my theory. When people are making products that are infused with oil that they're baking with flour product on the stove, so they're taking flour product, they're putting it on the stove in some type of oil or something, and
like butter,
doing some type of basic extraction like that. I think that's where a lot of those cannabinoids have been baked into the state of being a higher CBD content. Whereas when people are using concentrates from waxes, kief, things that have already been concentrated and there are more THC pure, that have more crystals in them and are more pure, I think that's where you avoid that heavy kind of lethargic feeling of that things that come from heavy indica style feelings, which is also the same theory, because I've been thinking about this a lot lately, my same theory of why back in the day, when people talk about smoking weed back in the day, how it always gave them that tired, munchy, first you get the giggles, then you get the munchies, then you fall asleep kind of deal. Well, all the weed back then was coming up from Mexico, and the majority of it was traditional cannabis indica. The cannabis sativa, which came from your part of the world, and over on that side, before that, all the weed was brought in by Mexicans from Mexico, and that was cannabis indica dominant weed. And it was trucked in from plants that were grown outdoors, and it was cultivated like an agricultural plant rather than a medicinal controlled medicine. So the plant wasn't necessarily refined like it is today with indoor growers doing all their highly controlled, everything from their nutrients to their light, temperature, everything is highly controlled, and they're producing these maximized buds that are either heavily, sativa or indica or hybrids, and they're making sure the crystals are just the right color before they're trimmed, so the right amount of CBD, the coloring of the crystals don't change too dark, which all affects how that CBD and THC interaction is on your body. So before this, all the weed that was coming in was substantially lower in THC, but probably also a higher CBD count, and it wasn't refined. So when people smoked it, it made them a little silly, then it got them real hungry, then they fell asleep. Well, shit's changed, right? This was 20, 30 years ago. In the last 15 years, since both California and Colorado have really engaged in this medical program, cultivators have gotten to the scientific point where they are growing some highly potent, highly controlled shit where it's not going to make you tired, because weed doesn't do that anymore. When I first started in high school, same thing. You laugh, you eat, you fall asleep. Now, when I'm tired, I smoke, and it wakes me up. When I'm feeling lazy or just not very motivated, I smoke, I jump on the computer, and I start working. And I'll work for hours and hours and hours nonstop, just puffing away on my little atomizer. So it does the opposite. But I'm also paying for highly controlled, specifically grown types of weed that is now, it's at the top of its game. It's the art form. So that's, forgot what we started talking about. I must be high. I must be high because I'm talking a lot.
Well, hey, that's good for the viewers, because they'll be like, hey, listeners, give me one of those gummy butterflies.
Yeah, maybe I should retail these through the store, because, I think one of those is worth $10.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah? Pop
one of those before you get on the airplane.
Right? 150 milligrams?
It takes an hour before it kicks in, so right before you hit the TSA, it's more like a really cool Jell-O shot.
Well, it's because I think they used a pure keef, right? Rather than what I was saying, they just dumped plant into oil and baked it on the stove kind of deal.
Right.
They used already a pure form of keef, which is kind of the crystallized, stuff that comes out of the plants.
And it absorbs into your stomach, into your blood system differently than when you smoke.
And it's more pure THC, where it probably wouldn't have a lot of CBDs in it. I don't know, I may be talking shit. I may have no idea what I'm talking about. Somebody will probably correct me if I... Somebody will write me some shitty email.
It sounds good to me.
It happens at least once a week where I get some shitty Facebook private message or email from somebody telling me how I fucked up. Saying something or doing something majorly. Let me see here. Let me ask you some weird questions.
All right.
If given the chance, this is kind of a basic one, everybody's heard this one. If given the chance, who would you choose to have dinner with? Anybody in time?
I think I would like to have dinner with Lady Gaga.
Do you have a secret hunch how you will die? I told you some of these got weird.
I did. A long time ago, I thought that I would be shot.
Really?
With a gun.
Like in a battle of violence?
I didn't know what it was. I just knew that somehow I'd be shot. And later in life, when I was a smoker, I had a hallucination / meditation where I saw my future self dying of lung cancer.
Wow.
And I was in so much pain that I asked someone to kill me. And that's how. And so that was my vision. And so obviously I didn't want to die by a bullet, especially because the pain was so bad. So I stopped smoking.
What is a typical day like for you?
I wake up really, really early in the morning, like 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. And then by 5 o'clock I'm up. I go into meditation. And then I check email, I build websites, I do some writing. And
all in the morning?
All in the morning. And usually by 8 o'clock I'm done.
Wow. So you do all that and then you spend the rest of the day getting high, or what? For what in your life do you feel most grateful?
I would say that I have a strong relationship with my spiritual source.
Yeah.
I'm from Nebraska. I mean, I lived there for a good portion of my life. Sorry, but I am. And so I wasn't very religious back then. I mean, I went to church, but it wasn't religious. And so it was when I came here that I found people that were like me, had the same thoughts, and said, I don't believe in a God that's going to punish me if I didn't go to church on Sunday. Yeah. Which is what I had believed before. Right. And so now I'm like, hey, God will let me worship at home. I can even do it online.
Make an app every Sunday. Do you believe in God? Click here.
Yeah. So
done for the day.
Everybody has a different calling.
Yeah.
And even now, I don't go to church every Sunday. I mean, I sing in the choir.
Hell! What do you value most in friendship?
I would say trust probably is pretty important.
Well, I mean, trust in more than just a tangible way. Trust in the sense of somebody that you know is going to be there for you and support you and never have any intention of doing you wrong. And that sense of trust.
Absolutely.
Complete this sentence. I wish I had someone with whom I could share...
How about, I wish I had someone I could share more weed with.
Like more smoking partners?
Yeah, I wish I had more people that were open to the thought of cannabis being a drug and instead being a right.
Like, do you feel like the world is going to look at you negatively if you reveal to them that you consume cannabis?
Yeah, it's for being a children's author, you have to be real careful what you say. And so...
Why not a children's book about weed? It seems like the perfect 1, 2, 3...
Well, there's actually going to be 20 books in the series.
In the Angel Academy series?
Yeah.
So you're going all out. You're going for Harry Potter style.
More, because Harry Potter was only 7 books.
Oh, so you're actually saying she was a pussy in the sense that
she should have kept going. I mean, she was like, I'm tired of writing. I'm going to end it. And I'm like,
well, it's only $1 billion. I mean,
yeah. So, I mean,
the weight of the money was probably too much. What, if anything, is too serious to be joked about?
I think abortion.
How are you feeling now?
I'm feeling fine. How are you feeling?
Yeah.
You're very talkative.
Yes. And you're getting less talkative. Does that mean I'm talking too much?
No. Another wacky question.
All right, Harry. Let's do a lighter one. Would you like to be famous, well-known, world-renowned as one of the best in your industry?
Yes.
If so, what if you could be world-renowned as the best, but not actually make any money, or be unknown, but in the top 0.01% of income earners?
I would like to choose option A, please. And that's my final answer.
So you rather would be known but not actually make any money.
Right.
There's a fame aspect here.
Right.
Would you like to be famous?
Absolutely.
What about that is intriguing?
Well, I think there's a certain coolness of being able to say, hey, I'd like to go to the Oscars. I'm going to pick up the phone and say, hey, it's Aaron. I want to go to the Oscars, and I don't want to be in the balcony.
What would you like to be famous for, as an author?
Actually, my goal is I hope that Angel Academy will one day be made into a movie.
Ah, so you want to be known for
the creator
of the series.
Right, because it
would be better than the movies, a TV series, because those can go on for 5-10 years. A movie's a one-time hit.
Well, I think it will start off as a movie, and the movie will be so successful that they'll say we have to do the TV show.
Like a Parker Lewis type thing, or
yeah,
any Buffy Vampire Slayer.
It could be
stuff.
something. There's a lot of, and if it was animated.
Right? Even better. Because that can live on forever.
Right, because, your characters don't age.
There you go.
So, yeah.
If that happens, can I do one of the voiceovers?
Sure, absolutely.
I like doing voiceover stuff. And I could create like a little character voice.
Yeah, there's in the book, there's a ton of characters, so you can think of maybe which one you'd want to be the voice for.
Excellent. I'm going to hold you to that. That's a verbal contract. Recorded right here. Saturday.
Voice talent. Yeah.
If you were able to live to the age of 90, but you could only retain one of these two things, either retain your mind Like, you don't get Alzheimer's, you don't get craziness, you remember all your memories, that kind of stuff. But you completely lose your body where you're almost in a wheelchair, Stephen Hawking style. Or you have the body of a 30-year-old until you're 90, but you're just dumb as fuck and you don't really have the ability to remember anything. You can't really communicate with people. You don't have the real consciousness of anybody that can understand and enjoy life, to really enjoy the fruits of living to be 90 would be.
Wow. I guess I would choose the first one.
Your mind.
Yes.
But be almost immobile physically.
But that would be okay.
Yeah.
As long as I could still talk. I could like talk into a microphone and move my wheelchair.
All right. I mean, that's even a little more
and
than
little
Stephen Hawking
voice dictation so they could continue writing my books.
That's true. And with the advancement of technology, who knows?
Right. I mean, I could just, I have to just see like RoboCop, just be a big brain.
There you go. They already have exoskeletons.
That's right.
And all you would need now is an exoskeleton that just downloads your program of how your physical movement, how you used to move and everything.
I think I'd like to rather be in a RoboCop body.
Where you're kind of stiff-armed walking around? But wouldn't you...
where I'm like 6 tons when I walk into a building.
But what if the exoskeleton was truly invisible, right? Like it was an exoskeleton shirt and pair of pants, right?
Oh, now we're getting into total sci-fi. Yeah.
And what if that exoskeleton could be programmed where you're like, hey, I want to move like Michael Jackson, and you type it, you do the little knob on your pants, and all of a sudden it controls your legs where you can do some moonwalking and some
okay, cool.
Splitting.
I do that.
Right?
Yeah.
And then, I want to be Bruce Lee. Click, and all of a sudden you're doing kicks and punches faster than bees and butterflies. How do you learn?
I learn very easily by watching. So, I can cook anything because I've watched thousands of hours on the cooking channel.
So you need to, or you have the ability to see something happening and then you can replicate it.
Right.
Whereas when you read something, maybe it's a little...
No, I read super fast too. But I can, if I have like a semi-photograph, like 1,000 words a minute. Yeah, it's pretty fast.
What is that in pages? How many pages would that be? How many words are in this book?
There's about 40,000 words in that book, 40 to 50,000.
So you could. What's the math? 1,000 and 40,000 is what percent?
I can't do math.
What? What do you mean?
But I can read super fast, and if I slow down, it's like I'm memorizing it. So
really, so you have a really defined memory.
Oh yeah,
wow. I wish I had that.
Like I can read through books like I could read through that book in less than an hour.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, really. 300
pages? Holy shit, I would be down in books left and right. You know how long it would take me to read this? Maybe all week. Maybe not all week, but at least a few days. I'm such a slow reader. What's your technique? Do you drag the finger?
No, my eyes just move really fast. When I was a kid,
you can take the chunks of words and process it really quick. That's how they say reading and speed is that your eyes take the chunks of the words and then process it. And people who try to read word for word read so slow is because the mind is literally dragging behind. Is that it needs to chunk, and the bigger chunks you can take, the faster you can read. So you have the ability to take bigger and bigger chunks of words and piece them together and process them, whereas I'm like dragging my finger word for word, trying to connect the dots. And if you think about it, it works the same way with speaking. If we speak really fast and put a whole bunch of words in there together, you can somehow understand what's going on. But when you slow everything down, you forget what we're talking about. I'm the Micro Machine guy. What did you learn from this review, this session here? Did you learn never respond to strangers on Facebook? What is your overall takeaway from
I would say
process today?
I would say today was it was a lot of fun.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What should we officially rate and say about Mouse Edibles butterfly gummy treats?
I would say that they're very good.
Yeah.
If you were to give it on a scale of 1 to 10, right now I'd probably say about an 8 or a 9.
Wow.
Only because I don't know how long it's going to last.
Right. But you're saying it's up there.
Yeah, it's really
you're feeling it.
Yeah.
Well, as we talked about, you're at the beginning, you're 140 pounds. I'm 240. Maybe 250. But I'll lose it. No.
Metabolism.
Yeah, you got fast metabolism. I got a slow metabolism.
How would you rate it?
I would say right now where I'm at, I would probably agree. It's probably a 9. It's probably a 9. The reason why I would say not 10 is because I've taken where it peaked to the point where you were really high. Like kind of standing in the corner mumbling to yourself kind of high.
Catatonic.
Well, I mean, sometimes, but still as we mentioned earlier, not to sleep. Kind of, like it didn't put you to sleep, but it just kind of made you like really like being 12 years old and taking a bong hit for the first time where you like get really high kind of deal. But that's with large doses. I would say for this one treat, that is priced at $10, as she said. 150 milligrams of keef. I feel a very clean, pure high right now. Definitely feel as if I smoked 3 or 4 dab hits or 3 or 4 bowls of some good flower. Again, we don't know how long it's going to last, but it has been
almost 2 hours.
Yeah, almost 2 hours, which I'd say that in itself is enough to say 2 hours is a pretty good. I mean, for an edible, we would be looking at what, 4 to 6 hours?
Yeah.
2 hours in at this point, I would say it would be safe to say it would be at least 3 to 4 that it would go. I even if this is the peak right now, it would be another hour or two before you really felt like you were.
And if you're out of state, I would say only half.
Oh, yeah. This is the problem with gummy type stuff is they're usually small. These were big, which is good because it'll give you a good measurement. Because when you're dealing with tiny gummies, you take a handful and you start popping them in your mouth, a little harder to realize what's going on. This was a big thing. So 150 cut in half, 75, cut it in 4s, 35-ish, 35, 36, 37-ish. So 37 milligrams. So if you're a type of person that normally would do, somewhere between 20 and 50 and be good, take a quarter of it. Looking for a little more adventure, take half of it. If you're a little bit bigger with tolerance, I'd say the full deal would be all right. It's not going to make you feel overboard or you're not going to feel awkward or uncomfortable or anything else. I don't feel any type of anxiety or
suicidal.
No, definitely not.
I don't want to kill myself.
Well, I didn't until you said something, but now. This has been fun. This has been almost an hour and 40 minutes, so I think that was enough. Did the questions work? Do you feel like we're friends now?
Yeah, absolutely. They were a little interesting.
Yeah.
But
a little interesting, or
some of them got a little
like they were less than interesting.
No, well, they were definitely interesting. I think they're good for our listeners to say.
Would these be appropriate questions to ask other strangers?
Sure.
Yes, I think
after they ate a gummy.
I think I might hold on to them then and use them to weave into my normal interviews and conversations.
Or if you ever interview other people for cannabis-related stuff.
Absolutely, this will be a good test. Maybe I'll do a monthly show for anybody that wants to send me some type of product. I'll review it and I'll use the same format. I got basically 50 questions here. By the time you get through 50 questions, that could be a good hour, if not 2.
Oh, yeah.
Or more, depending. Enough time to review any good type of edible. Hey, I'm open. Anybody wants to send me some edibles or concentrates, waxes, flowers, buds, contact me. I'll give you my address.
So where can listeners get some of these gummies if they want some of themselves?
Well, that we'll have to figure out because the company is currently in southern San Diego, which means there's issues with mailing out of state. But what you can do is if you like these, and we know that they cost $10, and the person says she can make, I don't know, it takes her usually 2 to 3 days, she says. Within 2 to 3 days, she can make an order of something. She says what happens to her is people come and order 1 or 2, a pack like this, and then come back a few days later and order an order of 50 or 60.
Oh, wow.
And I think I understand why now. If anybody wants to try them out, just like me, they can personally message me, either on Facebook, you know where to find me, or go to to the website. You can send me an email, or if you have my number, send me a text message, or if you know where I live or you want to come down to the studio, if you know where that is, we can work it out and we can have them figure out a way to get you these products. They are a growing business, Upstart Mouse's Edibles. You can hear them on show number 58. What time is it?
Oh my gosh, it's 4:19.
Just to document that wasn't serendipity right there. It is 4:19. So there you go. Aaron, it was a pleasure. I enjoyed it. We should do it again.
Absolutely.
And I think we should have more conversations about either your books, or we can just think of more crazy questions to ask each other.
Sounds great.
All right, man.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to this week's show. Make sure to come back next week. We're going to have more guests lined up, speaking with dispensary owners, growers, business owners. Make sure to follow us on all of the social media, Facebook, Google+. You can listen to our shows live from the website or your preferred listening platform. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spreaker, even YouTube, all under the same name, CannabisCommunityProject.com. We'll see you next week.
Come on!